I mean, maybe that might be a function of just me being an artist, and most of my peers are also, artists, and so it seems like everyone's an artist. So it seems like we must all be trying to do the same thing and trying to get the same attention from not only the audience but the radio DJs and all that stuff. So is that all just in our heads, or is that like what? Yeah.
I don't think I wouldn't say it's in your heads, but I would say whilst there's more music being pushed,
right.
more artists being pushed, but there's more opportunities like this right now.
Right.
You're saying, well, hey, I want to do a podcast. There's a new opportunity for other people.
Right.
So there is a lot of opportunities as well. And I think the big thing here is everything in the music industry revolves around proof. Mm-hmm. So way back in the day, if a label was going to sign an artist, mm-hmm. they would have a gut instinct, and everything was a gut instinct, and it would be like, I like this band, I like these people, and therefore I think I can make something work. And then a lot of money would be invested. And I got signed to a major when I was younger, and we didn't break. Nothing happened. We got shelved. Nothing happened, and that happened probably 50 times a month with major labels. It was just one of them might go, 50 of them might not.
Interesting.
What happens there is, whilst you're trying very, very hard to get the attention, I think the biggest part of this for me comes from proof. So let's say, fast forwarded from those times to now, if you say, I can get 50 people to a venue to watch me play, you've now got the leverage. If you say, oh, I've got 20,000 people who genuinely are on my Instagram, or even 500 people on my Instagram who genuinely care about what I do, you've got the leverage.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it comes to leverage, because if someone approaches you for this podcast and says, hey, I'd love to be on your podcast, and you say, well, who are you? What do you do? If they say, well, this is what I do, this is my interesting story, but I also have 10,000 people that I think will enjoy listening to this, then they've got the leverage. And so whether it's a label, whether it's a live agent, whether it's a manager, every day I'll get someone message me and say, can you be my manager? With no idea if I'd be a good manager or not, just because I know what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean I've got the right temperament or people skills or time management to be a good manager. If people say, do you want to be my manager? And I'm thinking, I'd be an awful manager. I'd be a terrible manager.
Why don't you think you will be a good manager?
I think I because I'm an educator, so I feel like I think everyone has a different temperament and a different. I've met a lot of music industry managers, and they're just a very different temperament to myself, and that's nothing. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. I just don't have the I just don't have the temperament. I think I have the temperament and the patience for teaching. I have the temperament and patience for building.
Right.
But if someone doesn't do what I want them to do, then how do I get them to do that thing? Do I shout at them? Do I plead with them? Do I try and sort of blackmail them? And so everyone's got different temperaments, and everyone's got different skill sets in what they do. So, but I feel like now is the time that when someone says, I've got music, I want a label, or I want a manager, they are all there everyone's there for the taking. You could get a manager, you could get a label, but what you've got to do is you've got to say, well, hang on, let me show you this works. If I can show you this works, everyone's interested, because everybody wants to be on the winning side.
Yeah.
So, and the way that you show that it works isn't the music. And I think this is probably the hardest message, because all artists want it to be purely about the music.
Yeah, right.
And so, it's like, here's my music. I want you to listen to the music, and something's just going to go off in your head, and you're going to say, this is the greatest music I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But the reality is, even if that's the case, most people say, well, I like it, but will everybody else like it? And there's always this, this worry. So if you said, well, hang on a minute, let me go out there, let me take this to market, the same way as if this was Dragon's Den or Shark Tank or one of those programs where people take, entrepreneurial gadgets, and they, if it was one of those things and said, hey, I've invented a widget, the people on the panel are going to say, okay, does it work? Yes. Okay, how many have you sold? If you say, I haven't sold any at all, alarm bells. Well, why haven't you sold any? Surely if this is good, you should be able to sell. Same thing. we've got the ability to be able to get our music out there. And so I think this is where I come in, is the link between the music and the industry,
right,
and the fan base and the audience. And there's a gap in between that how are you going to get that attention?
right,
And how are you going to bring people in? And so I believe, my biggest belief is there's what I call a bridge or a signpost. And so what most artists will do is they'll have their song and they'll say, everyone, here's my music.
right.
The problem with that is we aren't in on the story. So we don't know the story. We don't know you. We don't know what you stand for. We're not connected. No context. And so the song comes out, unless the song is, the greatest song ever, maybe. But on the whole, people are saying, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. Well done. But there's songs everywhere. Everything's flying at us from all angles. And what we've got to do is we've got to say, hang on, let me bridge the gap. Let me firstly bring you in and tell you all about myself in a way that you understand, play you music, find that connection, build that value, and build that trust. Once I've done that and you've come in, because whilst that sounds complicated, it's the difference between no, watch your content and go, oh, this is quite good. Let me come in and have a look. And that motion there means I've just come in. I've just come into your house, and now I'm in. I'm in your TikTok, I'm in your Instagram, and now I'm looking at your content going, hey, this is good. I'm enjoying this, or this is connecting with me, and I've gone down that little rabbit hole. And at which point then they say, yeah, okay, I'll hit the follow button. Even if they don't hit the follow button, the algorithm's going to show more of your content because you've been watching it. Now, if you can connect a few times more after that, now they've gone from, I don't know who you are, through to, I do know who you are, and I like your stuff, and I trust you. Now we can start to actually get people into the music and get people across to Spotify. But what tends to happen is this idea of, you don't know who I am, you haven't been on the journey, but please go and listen to some music on Spotify that you've never heard before. And that's where people say, I'm just not prepared to take that much of a risk with my time, even though it's only seconds. And that's the bridge we've got to, that's the gap we've got to bridge.